Acura's all-new ADX, a compact SUV that isn't just built for one thing, it's precision crafted for everything. To escape the grind with available all-wheel drive. To go with your flow with available Google built-in.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Okay, turning up the volume. And crafted to be heard with an available Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. The all-new Acura ADX, crafted to match your energy. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Take your vibes on go.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin. Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again, as Cody would say, but Cody's not here. This is Thad Bell from the KC Soccer Journal. With me, I have Robert Russert. How are you doing, Robert?
Doing well, Thad. You?
Not too bad. We have struggled to get recordings in between Cody's job, our jobs, our other life, everything going on. And we even have one person that should be joining us here shortly. Kerry should hopefully be joining us soon. And maybe even a special guest later. But jumping right in, man, it was not I'll say first half was not a totally terrible half, but the second half, yeah. What did you think?
The beginning of that game, even beforehand, we got there. I was a fan for this one, right? Okay, the buzz was good. The cauldron was sounding good. They were, packed. Stadium was pretty full. Everything kind of just felt good. My dog was younger. I felt younger. It was all good. And then it was good until it wasn't, right? But it did feel like old times there just for a while. Did you feel that at all? Or
Well, I will say I came in with a bit of optimism. I mean, a win gives you optimism. And, we can still go back and argue whether making Peter leave was the right choice at the right time, all that stuff. But everything new, every difference, every change brings a little bit of hope, a little bit of optimism, right? So
yeah, and the weather was good. It just felt right.
Yeah. But as they scored early, and I put in our Slack for I don't know how many time this year, deja vu or familiar feeling or something like that.
Yeah, kind of when that goal went in, you just kind of just went to that feeling, didn't we? Just kind of that old feeling of, oh, okay, reality.
Yeah, kind of too easy, too many too easy goals.
Right. But hey, we fought back, right?
Yep. Fought back, and Shoppy had I'd call it a seeing eye goal because it just slipped through everything and went right between everybody and went in the back of the net.
Yeah, he didn't do a big celebration. I don't think that's his thing, but yeah, nice shot. Always good to see when those go in. So you feel like things are on your side when those go in, and then we got the PK, and gosh, what a beautiful PK, huh?
Yeah, that was quality. Too bad they weren't all that way.
Right. But I don't know, Thad, what do you think went wrong? What made us go down? End up 2-2 at half, which wasn't terrible, but what do you think?
Well, even just to go back to that the second Portland goal, because they took the lead again, and then the PK tied it back up. But that first goal that they got, or the second goal they got, was just a deflection off the guy's head. I mean, this is kind of back to Sporting just can't get luck. Like every bounce goes against them. In the St. Louis game, it felt like the bounces went the right way, in Kansas City's way. But this game, the bounce went the wrong way. So it just went off of Kevin Kelsey's head.
Right. Yeah. Right place at the right time.
And then good call on the PK. They had to go to VAR. The VAR held up the call. Could have
took them a lot longer than I thought it was going to. I was like, oh, that's pretty clear, but He looked at it for quite a while.
I will say he was probably considering whether or not to give a card on that.
Right, right, yeah.
I mean, typically you don't give a card when you get a PK unless it's violent or, reckless, whatever the right term there is. And I'm shooting the game, so I'm not even seeing the replays very well. I'm paying attention to like watching things and stuff. And so when I looked at it later, I'm like, why wasn't that another card?
Yeah, I mean, Fernandez had one later in the game that I think was a little more card worthy. Obviously, this one was called a foul. The PK was called a foul, obviously. But to me, I'm not a big person that dwells on this kind of stuff. But to me, the defender was really just stepping, and the fact that Shoppy was reaching at the moment for the ball is what led to him stepping on Shoppy's foot more than anything. And I think that's why the referee didn't give him a card. That was my take on it, though.
And just so she doesn't chime in and start talking out of nowhere, Carrie Robinson just joined us. I didn't want somebody to think all of a sudden Robert had a voice change.
Hello, I'm here.
Carrie's in demand, by the way. She's on multiple podcasts now, so
Yeah,
we're making another person a star, Thad.
I know. She'll be too big for us, but in the next 6 months and leave us behind and
Right.
go on Galazzo or something else. And be a influencer on whatever channel, whatever she's doing. Because if I say the right one, she'll say it was wrong. I don't know.
No, I
So,
was just
Carrie, you
doing a
were
semi-professional, so I'm going down a little bit for you guys.
you were in the cauldron for the game, right, Kerry?
Yes, I was.
So you had a pretty good view of the foul on Shoppy that led to the PK. Did you think that should have been a card? That's kind of what we're talking about.
That would have been the
No,
other end.
other side.
Oh, was it? Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No, but I have thoughts about Portland's goals
Well,
on
I'm
the
sure you
Cauldron
do.
side.
I'm sure you do.
Well, go ahead, jump in and give us those thoughts.
Well, I think it's the second one that was in front of the Cauldron, the one where Dayan was kind of getting cut back and forth. I think he should have just put his whole body into the guy because that cross went over and you get one person to touch that and it's over for Sporting. Like I think that was just such a good cross that if it would have hit anyone, then it would have been a goal. Just about.
Well, their second goal is the one that just bounced off of Kelsey's head, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes.
But I was very disappointed at Dayan. I was like yelling at him in the Cauldron. I was like, go up on him. So obviously he didn't listen to me. If he would have, we wouldn't have gotten scored on. Just saying.
You should have said Elmo says to go up on him.
You're right. I was dressed as Elmo, so
You were not in the full Elmo gear, but
no.
you had a Elmo something going on there.
Yes, I had a headband.
Yeah, her Carrie and her friends have had a lot of fun with costumes and themes lately.
Well, this one was just me. We were gonna go like Sesame Street themed because we heard that like that's what Kids Day was gonna be, and then we learned that it was an MLS wide Kids Day, and we were like, we're not pandering to Don Garber like that.
There was some good two polls up though.
Of course.
All right, so we were talking about when you came in the Shoppy, the foul on Shoppy that got the PK for Dayon, and he put that away to tie it up 2-2, and did kind of went into the half like, okay, it's not as pretty, it's not as good as the St. Louis game, but they're fighting back and they're doing pretty well. Halftime changed a little bit though, didn't it? I think Jansen, as I put it in our rundown, Jansen and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. That's a book reference in case nobody knows that.
Yeah, so Jansen did struggle. I've rewatched the game and I was focusing particularly on Bartlett and Miller. But I tell you what, sad to say, the misstep on the goal that was the own goal, and the one that he gave up the bad pass on were really his only missteps in the game. So, it's a tough lesson to learn when you're as young as him, that you've got to be tuned in, you got to be on every moment. But really, those are the only missteps he had.
I think it's interesting to point out that on FOTMob, sorry, Cody, um, Jansen Miller's rating was 3.5. Everyone else is above a 5, at least. Do you know how hard that is to get that low?
Well, when you score for
It's
the other team and you defend very
I just
lackadaisically on one.
I've just never seen anyone that low. And yes, I looked up just to make sure, like, I don't know, we weren't setting some record, which I'm sure we weren't in the first place, but that's just insanely low.
yeah. And on because I also looked at whoscored.com, and oh, he was like at least a full point below everybody else in that game too on that their rating system. I don't know that he had I don't know that I would agree with Robert that he didn't put a foot wrong, but yes, there was two key moments that just totally killed his his rating,
Oh
killed a
yeah.
lot of people's perceptions perhaps. And even in that like the one giveaway that led to the goal, maybe Kyrie shouldn't have thrown the ball into him at that point. I think it was Kyrie that did the throw in there. Um, there's just a lot of things that led to that. And even the own goal, he was the only defender that stepped back to defend. What
Yeah.
we've complained about defenders just letting everybody run by him, he went, he tried to do something. It just took a bad bounce. So I felt bad for the guy.
Yeah, I'm not saying he played a perfect game besides those foul ups, but you know, rough lesson.
Yeah. I will on the rundown I had the Jansen and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day as one line, and the next line as but I have to give him a ton of credit. One for the he was the one defender that went back. But after the game, he went up to uh, Patrick from Sporting Comms team and like stared at him until he got off the phone and said, "I want to talk to the media after the game." So here's a guy who just had a bad game, and again, not that his whole game was bad, or he's been one of the players who have had bright spots throughout this season. And he goes up and says, "I want to talk to the media." He took ownership of this. He's like, he put himself out there to have questions asked of him. Now, I don't think there was any like harsh questions asked to him because everybody realized that's kind of a bad position to put guys in, especially rookies. But he stood up and he went and said, "Yeah, I'll take the heat."
Yeah, I mean, they've been talking about how mature he is overall, in his play, and then that's certainly taken responsibility. There are guys who we've seen, like in the locker room, Thad, sorry, Thad, who will cower away, right? And they will try to avoid things as much as they can, but not Mr. Miller.
No, and I mean we've seen some veterans just hide when they've had a bad game and get treatment for an hour until all the media's left.
Right, yeah.
But no, he stood up and he was very mature about it. And I very much appreciated that.
From having, we're just gonna say it's such a good game against St. Louis, saying that because we won, to now such a terrible game. I'm interested to see what Kerry's thinking in terms of, is this a guy that we continue to start despite that happening, um, to try to build this core of center backs, or is he still gonna try to pick and pull who he thinks still has the better chance?
So, Kerry, if you sit him the next game, what message does that send him?
Do better. I don't know. I don't know. It's just one of those, you had a bad game. You're not starting this one at least.
So that tends to teach, especially young people, that, hey, I've got to be really scared. I've got to be really, perfect every time, and really makes them overthink things. So I think it's the exact opposite is you put him back in there. He did step up for the media. That shows maturity. And hey, shit like that happens, man. Kerry, that
It
happened to
does.
Kerry when he was playing. So, you put him right back out there and say, hey, I've got the confidence in you. And Kerry's done that with young guys before, with Bartlett last game, having that yellow keep him in the match, which was, a tough thing for a young guy to do. So I think Kerry just sticks him right back in and says, hey, go get him, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fair. I think that, I mean, with Carrie's way of playing. I think it's going to be more evident on if a player is going to be if he's going to be following the Peter Vermes doghouse rule or just, trying to give confidence in his younger players.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell because we don't know Kerry's tendencies yet. But I kind of lean with Robert at the moment. If he had had bad games before this and that happened, maybe you take him and you send him down to SKC2 to play. Where if he screw up, like nobody really cares that much. Um, but I think he's played well. I mean, they talked about him. Peter talked about him. Kerry's talked about him as being bright spots throughout the season. A guy who came in and impressed in preseason. I mean, he didn't come in with a guaranteed contract. They didn't just go sign him. He was a draft pick, and they ended up signing him. And he's just done so much that he's been a good. And again, I'm not trying to make him out to like he's the best defender in the league or maybe even the best defender on the team, but he's earning these starts at the moment and having a bad game of where he was trying to do the right thing and the ball went in the net. And yes, he should have passed the ball or done something different with it earlier. But all stuff that could have been, just as a little experience, it'll be better. So, all right. Also from this game, because I want to take good spots and good and the bad. I want to take the good and the bad with all of this stuff. XG was 2.1, was higher than Portland's. But the problem with that XG is two of those two PK opportunities in there, which
Right.
both are like 0.7 or 0.8, depending on where you look at them. But that's 1.5, 1.6 XG of that 2.1. And one of those was a goal, one was not, because one was blocked. So should we point at that 2.1 XG and say, oh, that was good? Or should we point at it and it's like, yeah, we could have done better with that still?
Well, putting defenses under pressure and gaining PKs, which, both our right wingers did, are good things. So I think that's certainly a positive that helps, build chances. And if it impacts XG, fine, but they're still good things. But, second half, Dayon had a great chance, which a finisher should finish. Davis had a good chance to finish. I think those are the ones that we should rue, especially.
What do you think, Kerry?
I mean, there was, excuse me, there was even one, I think, it was like this first chance Sporting had, Shalloway. I think even Daniel
Yeah.
should have made that one.
Early
That was
on, yeah.
early on. Um, yeah, I mean, I feel like earlier in talking about podcasts or earlier in podcasts for the season, I was worried about scoring. Here I am sitting here more worried about defense, which I know everyone's been worried about defense this entire time. I was more split even because I had not gotten the chance to see, Sporting even do a run of play without, a deflection or a lucky bounce. But here I am sitting like, I think we're okay with scoring. Yes, maybe we should have had one or two from those given chances, but I think we're at an okay position at the moment.
One thing that I noticed when I was looking through the stats before the podcast was they had 5 big chances, 4 of them were missed. So I'm taking one of those big chances had to be a PK because that was the only one that was because I can't take Shoppies as a big chance because that was such a kind of a lucky slide through the crowd goal. But yeah, I know there was like 3 one-on-ones with the keeper, I think, in the second half that they just didn't finish. Some of those, I will say, Dayon will finish more of those that he doesn't, because he's a pretty decent finisher, but he still has to get enough chances. In the St. Louis game, we pointed out that Manu got a lot of. He seemed to be up the field. I'm actually sliding into something in segment 2, so I'm going to stop myself.
So the one thing that I think we should be concerned about, besides the, Miller snafus, etc., is how did you guys feel about the last 15 minutes of the game? Did you see a whole lot of urgency from this team trying to get back into this game? I didn't. I don't know whether it was fatigue or what. I know Bartlett was done by the 80th minute, but I didn't see enough intensity, enough drive.
I would say there was perhaps just the oh, here we go again feeling.
Yeah.
2 early goals in the second half, and it just never quite clicked. which part of that I was going to get into in the second segment. We'll be right back.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
All right, right back. We're back with segment two. As Robert was asking about was there enough? Uh, what was the phrasing?
Intensity.
Intensity. Was urgency. That was the word.
There we go.
Was there enough with the players? But was there enough with Kerry? I mean, he made some subs, but they didn't seem to be as offensive as he could have. He talked about at the end, like I wanted to go for it. I wanted to win. But yet, Afrifa and Agata, we could have maybe seen them earlier, some fresh legs. Again, we've talked about Peter not making those changes before. What do you think?
I feel like I've also iterated this many times. Like, you look to the bench and you're just not really excited about anyone you see. So to have Afrifa and Agata come off and you're thinking these are our best options, like, yeah, you're not gonna have as much, you know, you're not going to see as much urgency because and anticipation from those guys because you just can't get that excited about the bench.
Yeah, I think Memo's a nice guy. Memo's a nice player. Bringing Memo and Leibold on was not going to do a whole lot to change that game. Yeah, I think the more game-changing impact, and we saw that with Afrifa, what he did drawing the penalty, would have been the Afrifa and Gata earlier for sure. Definitely agree with you there, Thad.
Yeah, and Afrifa drew the penalty, like you said. William, upon first reference, Agata has some things to play for to show that he needs to be on the field or be elsewhere. How long of a leash do we give with Kerry for this making these changes? Do we start complaining about him being too Peter-like already, or do we give him a little time? Or I don't know. What do you think?
I think Kerry, obviously deserves more time here. Their search is going to take a little while because of, how they're handling it. So Kerry's going to look at that. He's going to learn from that. He's a smart enough guy to do that. But yeah, if he becomes too much like Peter, then the leash is going to get shorter. It's only been 2 games, so we're going to have to see how this plays out a little bit more.
Yeah, and I'm not saying we should jettison Kerry yet. He's
Right.
got to take some time. We've seen some little more attacking option, a little more flair, a little more attack, a little more creativity under Kerry. Give him a little time to see how that goes.
Yeah, when you look at what Manu's been doing since then, I mean, he's been good all season, but him and Jovelic's connection has been even better. Manu and everybody else's connection have been better. So definite improvement on the attack, I think, since Kerry's taken over. Good signs. Would it have developed like that with Peter here too? Possibly. But I have a feeling that, Kerry's just tweaking some things in there. That's some things that he's mentioned that have made a difference.
All right. So each week we have been doing the best new player vote. So just to round it out, we have Dayon, Manu, Shoppy, Jansen, and Bartlett. Do we have anybody else we're counting in there? I think that was the 5 we voted on the last time. Early on, it was just the 3, but I'm adding the other 2 in there. Who was the new player of the game? Kerry, what do you think?
Top of the pyramid, Shoppy. Then Dayon. And then Manu, which I would be willing to flip Shoppy and Dayon if Dayon did not miss that second penalty. Let me just put that out there. I think that it would just be a toss-up because yes, Shoppy got that goal by, we'll say, accident right now. And he did draw the penalty as well.
Yep.
But I don't know. I just, with the vibes that Sporting Kansas City's had for the last calendar year of not getting any PKs, or not scoring any PKs. I think nailing two really would have put him up there. Um, third one would be Manu, and then Bartlett, and then Miller.
Robert?
So Manu, he's just good. He is. He sprays the ball around everywhere. He's very active defensively. He's very active on the field, always wanting the ball. Yeah, occasionally he has a bad pass, but so good. Dayon, filthy good at times. Remember that one when he played it around the defender and went in on goal? Just little footwork like that. So that guy's good. The guy's good. So those two are definitely my top. Shoppy, I mean, yeah, he got the PK and he got a lucky goal, if you will, and that's all good, but he's just not the class that those two players are. So if you're just looking at this game, maybe you put Shoppy a little higher, but as far as
It's for this game, Robert. Don't be going the whole season. This is not of the season.
I'm still going to put Dayon and Manu above Shoppy because Shoppy is what he is. He's got some skills on the wing. Okay, he does some good stuff, but those two are just a higher class.
And you're just going to leave Bartlett and Jansen at the bottom without any comment.
Miller last, and I just thought we were doing best new player. I didn't know we were doing all five.
Well, they're all new players.
Yeah, Bartlett definitely above Miller. So there you go.
We expanded our new players.
Yes, it's all new players, not just the three. At least when I'm pushing for the vote. I pretty much have to echo. I mean, again, the three are going to be at the top. I'm going to go with Shoppy top, Manu second, and Dayon third. He would have been at the top if he had scored the second PK and gave us a lot of hope right at the end.
Pretty lousy PK, that second one.
Yeah.
Did you see that he retweeted his made PK, the Panenka, right after Saka missed his earlier in Champions League?
No.
Yes. If only he could have retweeted that second one too.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Or he could retweet the next thing on our the list here is the fine he received from MLS today.
Explain, Thad, because we need an explanation.
Well, I know I did not see it live because when it apparently happened, he was running from his PK the other direction from me. But I will just say from the replays that I saw, it looks like he made an adjustment to his personal little boy parts.
On Kids Day.
On Kids
Day. Right. Bad timing.
What would Elmo say about that?
What did Elmo say about that?
I saw a lot of people earlier that just like completely like missed that, and they're like, "Oh, it's because he was doing finger guns," and it was like, "Nope, that's not why."
Yeah, you don't pull the finger guns from that part of the. No, that's not how you do this. I have added actually our surprise guest for the pod. He will also be joining me later for doing specifically a KC current one, but Daniel Sperry from the KC Star. So I'm going to throw this to you, Sperry. You can hear me? I assume you can.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, that screen is filthy, man. Clean that up.
I don't know what it is. There we go. Okay.
So I think I tried to like blur you out so nobody would have to look at you. But
that's probably a good thing for everybody. So
in case people don't know, Daniel and I give each other a lot of crap, and deservedly so a lot of the time. So one of the things we've been doing on the Shades of Blue, at least the last few weeks, is voting on the best new player each week. So it's so you're going to be thrown into the under fire here, and the best new player in this case is you have the option of, and we rank them, so it's not just one. You have to give all five in order, and it's DJ, Shoppy, Manu, Bartlett, and Miller, because they're the ones who are actually playing majority of the time. So we're not going to count guys who might be new but don't play, like Toye.
And Daniel focused on this game only because they yelled at me for not.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. It's this game only, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what I need to do right now, right? This is why I'm here. Um,
Wait,
Shoppy.
you'll be here for other stuff too, but this is a
Okay.
focus on just this moment.
Okay. Shoppy for sure is number one for me out of last game. I really liked his action on the right. It seemed like it slowed down for him a little bit in the way it did for others previously. So for me, Shoppy's number one. Um, I will go with I'll go with Dayon number two. The goal, he created a whole lot of chances throughout the game. Again, he was phenomenal when he got on the ball. He's back, like he's getting in the ball in the right spaces. He should have probably scored 4 to 6 goals in the last 2 games, to be honest, even with the penalty kicks and some of the other chances he had. So for me, like Dayon's playing at a very high level right now, so I'm fine with him where he's at number two. Manu very comfortably number three. I thought he had really good moments in the game against Portland, but I didn't think that like I was disappointed in the second half that he got lost in the game a lot. They couldn't find him. Some of that is on other people, some of that is on how he was playing at the moment. And I think when he had the ball, they stopped going away from those diagonals at some point in the second half that were working really, really well in the first half. And Manu's like good ball specifically is that diagonal switch. And so that wasn't happening enough in the second half for me. So that's why I'm going to put Manu down a peg. Bartlett, I didn't think was as. I'll put him at fourth. I thought he had a good game, but I don't think he was positionally sound that you need out of the six. And then Miller, just for the moment, the lapses in judgment in that second half, and I won't. I'm not going to give him crap for the own goal because he's the only one that reacted to John Pulskamp save in the moment. But Miller's going to go last. We'll go run it quickly back 1 to 5. Shoppy, Dayon, Manu, Bartlett, and then Jansen at fifth.
It's kind of unfair to poor Jansen, but that's life.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think the lazy pass and lazy touch too. This moment you can't, like we talk a lot about. Kerry's talked a lot about it too, about these issues of concentration, and that is one of them to a T, and that was a very costly one. What Portland had 1 expected goal on the game, and they had 4 in the back of the net. Not good.
not good. And then as you came in, we were just talking about DJ being fined for his personal adjustment.
Personal adjustment, yes. I reached out to MLS just to clarify. I think it's pretty obvious, in my opinion, he's yet to have been fined for the finger guns before, and the crotch grab was new, and it was everywhere. So that's a pretty easy fine. I have not heard back yet. We'll see if I ever get clarification on it. MLS, but anyways.
All right. You arrived just in time for us to take the break before we go to segment 3. Any other?
And then you're kicking me out, right? That's the joke. That's how the segment's going to go.
Oh, that would be kind of funny. But no,
Our
I was
breaks
actually
aren't actual breaks, though.
I was actually wanting you to come in for segment 3 more so, but because of timing, it worked out really well.
Perfect.
All right, we'll be right back.
As a small business owner, my favorite thing about posting a job on LinkedIn is that when I hit post, I clock out and LinkedIn clocks in.
LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, get qualified candidates, and manage them all in one place. Plus, LinkedIn extends the reach of your job post by allowing you to share it with your network. And hiring managers that add a hiring frame to their LinkedIn profiles receive 2 times more qualified applicants. Go to linkedin.com/achieve to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Uh-oh. The last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
Okay, we're back. Segment 3. This one's right up Sperry's alley, but we all have an interest in this. There's been at least some player news. I want to say news, rumors, speculation, questions, whatever. In a recent article in the Star, not by Mr. Sperry, but by some other guy, I guess Illig had mentioned that they still might add a player. I haven't read it, so I'm not going to lie. Can you elaborate on anything he may have said, Daniel?
I mean, I don't know that I can elaborate more on what Illig's, like anything more than what Illig said, but yes, that was the insinuation. At first I took that just as talk, like, yes, the window's open. Yes, you could still technically add a player. There have been trade talks within the league. But there is also, like, that question of, does it really come to fruition? I mean, I don't know how many times, even the last couple of years, right? We talked to Peter. We're like, are you going to make any additions for the window? And we're working on something. We're working on something. And maybe they were working on something, but we never saw anything that was a true end of window deadline day kind of move from Sporting, unless it was like a trade for allocation money for international slot. So I didn't really take Illig's comment there at face value until we showed up on Tuesday, and there was a trialist, and I was like, oh, okay. I had thought, and I'll say this, initially my head went to Noel Buck, just because he was a player that Burns was familiar with, being in New England and in that system. If Sporting did a cash trade and acquired him, he would be a U20. They could sign him to a contract extension and do it under the U22 initiative, and so then he would be a easy cap hit. It would give him the raise that he's looking for. The question would be, what kind of a sell-on fee is New England looking for, and that's the negotiation at that point. So I thought maybe Noel Buck would have been the contention, but I think once we figured out this trialist, it was clear that one, they were looking in that position to add the same center mid position, and two, that they did not have Noel Buck in mind, at least at the moment.
Right. So I know let's run through, and there's some other people that people are always mentioning. Kevin De Bruyne. What do you think, Robert? Should they go big?
No.
No?
That's all you need. No.
I think he's been linked to Chicago, if anything.
Chicago, DC, San Diego, and then Miami technically have his discovery rights, but it seems like the reporting out there has been that the league is calling Miami's bluff, saying, you figure out a way to get him on your roster legally. Oh, wait, you can't. Okay. So where's he going to go elsewhere? So I will be floored if Kevin De Bruyne ends up in Miami. But yeah, Chicago, at least the reporting from The Athletic today was DC, Chicago, San Diego are the three teams that have had serious contact with De Bruyne. And no, Sporting should not go down that road.
No. Although I would like to question whether or not Miami really is doing everything legally as it is, but that's not my area to go into.
Correct. I think I'd say this. The thought of a good performing Kevin De Bruyne in the midfield for Sporting KC is phenomenal. It sounds awesome. I don't think it does anything for them. So
he gets hurt somehow before he actually plays a game for us.
Old, increasingly immobile, often injured center midfielder. That's exactly what Sporting fans have been moaning about for years. So
I can fill that role for a lot less money.
Take the league minimum at that role. Come on, man. All right.
You mentioned Noel Buck, but there was an article that was mentioning a few of the players that might be out there. Gressell was another one that was out there. Can we put that one to bed? Also, probably
I don't know that there was ever a link.
not a link, but he was in that category of people who were available to be moved and in a position that we could probably use. And I've seen some people mention it, so I'm just trying to get it.
Certain Twitter accounts that have a significant affinity for Julian Gressel would really love Julian Gressel to be a sporting. He will not be a sporting because it's not the East Coast. Because that's what he wants because of
Well,
his wife.
we do have a new airport, so it's close.
Right.
Sure.
It's not the West Coast.
We just added direct flights to Raleigh, Durham.
And you can go to the airport and buy Casey Current gear.
You could.
I don't know if there's a sporting gear there. I've not seen anybody report that. I'm assuming there would be somewhere.
There is.
Yeah. I would hope so.
They have one corner.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be somewhere, right? So yeah, I mean,
they have a whole store named after them, right? It's like the Sporting Go store or something like that.
Yep.
It's like the little quick. It's like one of those Amazon stores where you get like storefronts where you like walk in, you scan your credit card, you walk in, you grab the items that you want, and you walk out and leave, and the AI camera tracks what you picked up and charges your card.
I remember seeing that, yes, but I was always curious, like, why is that labeled Sporting Go? Because
for a while they have not Go.
All right. You had mentioned Noel Buck earlier. He was one of the ones that had been in that thing, and he's listed as a center mid. Which I just want to throw a pet peeve out. When I look at transfer market and somebody's listed as a center mid, I want to know, are they more of a 6, they more of an 8, they more of a 10? But when they're just listed as center mid, I'm like, what does that mean? I just want more clarification.
That's why they'll list them as a center mid. And a lot of times you have to check out that secondary position because if they're a hybrid, they will usually include center mid attacking mid or center mid defensive mid. So it's not great though. Nothing's foolproof.
It is interesting though that none of the names that we've thrown out there are center backs.
Yeah.
What do you think, Robert? Was that be the position of need that you would throw out there?
They're both such a need. It's hard to decide between the two. I think they're going to go bigger, maybe for a center back. If they do it, they should. So, yeah, midfielder is fine right now in this window for my mind.
How about you, Kerry? What do you want him to pick up in this window in the last, 6 days of it? Something like that?
I feel like we could scrape by with the midfield that we have. It's our defense that's just I don't know where to start with them.
I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right at the moment. The other name that I had on my rundown here was Dru Yearwood, and I will credit Sperry with having figured that person out. We did see the trialist at practice, and with the little bit of nuggets of information he was able to gather, he did a lot of searching and figured that out. He also did the same thing last year with Joaquin, so he's a whiz at digging through transfer market and figuring out who they might be.
I'll say my first search went to Sebastian Ibeagha, and then I saw that he's still playing with FC Dallas based on look. But then when as I went through and I found the picture of Dru Yearwood, I was like, younger, more tame beard of Sebastian Ibeagha. That's what he looks like. All right, I got it right mentally. So, no, yeah, Dru Yearwood is a trialist with Sporting. Interesting player.
Interesting in what way? Because to me, I'm like,
Well, I say interesting as in that like he had a pretty high pedigree coming over from Brentford as a young player coming in on the U22 deal, and I thought he worked really well in kind of a more vertical pressing setup that the New York Red Bulls had, but he was young and he has his concentration lapses, which means he fits right in with his current group. Um, but I think that's like been the biggest knock on him. Nothing was good about Nashville really the last 2 years, anyways. Nashville was kind of fun 2 years ago, but they weren't great in 23. 24, they were not good. And so I think like looking at, and sure, make the playoffs, whatever. Visually, aesthetically, they did not play good soccer. There's a reason why their coach was fired, and they're balling out with BJ Ball right now, like BJ Callahan. So, Yearwood is he is a like more of a ball carrier than he is a ball passer. If you look at his stats, he just kind of is a different type of midfielder that they have, but he is a really good pressing midfielder. And that's one of the things that, in talking to people that I know that covered New York, covered Nashville, very good pressing midfielder, but there's some of the other things that are question marks. And I think that was one thing that we saw in this game when Jake Davis moved to right back for Kyrie Shelton, was that we brought in Memo. Memo didn't really have the gear to be a good pressing midfielder in those moments, and they really needed someone with that engine. And Dru does not have the injury prone history that Memo does. That I think he's got that engine and would might maybe a little bit more polished midfielder than Zoran Basong on the ball, and can kind of fit some of the need in those high pressing moments, because it doesn't look like Kerry's quite ready to trust Zoran Basong in the midfield yet. So there
So
you
you
go.
mentioned Jake Davis just really quick. He was limping at near the end of the game. He's good, right?
Yeah, he was fine. He was out there in training,
Yeah.
and did not seem to have like Radoja was in training, but it was very clear he had a sleeve, like a compression sleeve on his calf. Jake did not have anything that seemed noticeable about him. So, some of those guys after a while take a few tackles.
Oh yeah.
You get maybe a slight tweak, maybe you're feeling something, but it never really seemed like it was something. It doesn't seem like anything serious, and he really wasn't. He tend after games, even if he's fine and healthy, he seems to just hobble around the locker room. So like it's kind of not a surprise with him.
He's becoming an old man before his time.
He's
All
not
right.
even 24, 25 yet. He can't even rent a car yet. Come on now, what are we doing? He's not
Somebody
old.
else can do it for him. All right. So before we wrap up, we have the next two games, San Jose and Cincy. Uh, Robert, you have any insight to San Jose?
No, but I'm sure Mr. Sperry does. Cincinnati's the one that is really building some momentum, though. So we don't have any success in San Jose. I'm not hopeful for success in Cincinnati.
Hey, Sperry, what shirt are you wearing right now?
What shirt am I wearing? I am wearing. It actually happens to be an old San Jose Earthquakes polo that I had. Good for wear around the office. So
Man, she outed you. That's pretty
she
cool.
did. She did.
In fairness, Mr. Sperry was a San Jose Earthquakes fan when he was young and just following teams. Now
Pretty
he's
much, pretty much until I started actually covering the sport in a remotely serious fashion. Um, would have considered myself an Earthquakes fan. So
yeah, but they never did anything for you. So
they didn't, which is they had pissed me off by the end.
See, they're
what it,
3-4-1 right now, sitting in ninth place.
Hmm.
Let's see, goal differential +4. They
2 weeks ago, they beat DC 6-1.
Yep.
Right. Well, that's
Yeah.
DC. Come on.
Okay, but we lost to DC.
Yeah, well, that's us.
Yeah, this San Jose team's kind of interesting. They they have their moments where they can get kind of cut apart. Um, they will show their age and their toothiness at times, but they also have a lot of quality. The biggest thing for the Earthquakes is in my opinion, is shutting down Christian Espinoza. Leads the league in the
Right.
assists. The forwards that they have, Chicho and Joseph cannot create for themselves anymore. It's all what is created for them. Hernan Lopez is not healthy. Amal Pellegrino's not any way, shape, or form a danger playmaker. So the biggest thing with them is going to be set piece moments, and being able to deny Christian Espinoza. And if I think I take Logan up against Christian Espinoza, to be honest, as a 1v1 defender. If Logan's on his day, I think that's the biggest thing. So if you're sporting, those are the two biggest things you're trying to do is limit the time Espinoza has to put in service, limit the transition moments, and limit set pieces even taking place if you can. And that's that'll be Sporting's way through it. I will say, I think in recent years, San Jose is like the most common away win for Sporting. So I think they have won there the most out of most opponents in the past few years, especially since I've been covering the team. I know it's not hard. The Earthquakes are bad. There were a lot of really good Sporting teams over those eras, but even in the last few years, Sporting seems to have been able to get the result in San Jose, even when they weren't great. So,
well, lest we forget, March 1st at home, that was the match where we were up a man for 30 plus minutes and ended up losing that match 2-1. So.
I think I'd even take if you have the Sporting team that played against Dallas playing in that game, Sporting ends up winning that game. And so I think this team's grown a little bit from some of the deficiencies that we saw, at least in the attacking side, that plagued them when they were down a man. The question, though, is that to Kerry's point during our media availability on Tuesday was like, you've got to not let San Jose get out to the lead that they did, because that put them in the situation where they could block out and bunker. And they'll be at home. They'll be a little bit more spacing behind. They'll have the impetus to attack because their fan base still isn't very happy with them at the moment. So, yeah, that's it. There's a chance there, a chance.
Always a chance.
Yeah, and that's probably the better chance. Yeah,
it's much better chance than Cincy.
All right. Anything else we need to cover before we wrap up Shades of Blue today? Going once. Going twice. Kerry, you got anything prophetic to say?
As we hop into Easter, may we see some goals hop into the. I messed that up.
Wow.
We're out.
Sorted.
Sipping back on empty can. I don't give a damn if it's 9 a.m. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer, whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. Has just been sent off. Supporters strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.